Steve? All right. This next topic, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hand out a chart here. It's going to look a little bit confusing at first, but I'll go over it. Sorry? Yes.
Might as well.
It's in math, so it's a different language. 1, 2, 3. You there? Let me see if that's enough. Hand that out. If that's enough.
Thank you.
Hopefully. Can you read that, G-Man?
Did you say it's in math?
No, she said it's in Japanese. I said, yeah, it's in math. You want one, Charlie?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. What we're going to go over here is the importance of lie angle and the effect it has on the face angle. So first question, how important are lie angles? So when you're with your members or you're trying to fit them, they have a putter, driver, wedges, whatever. How important is lie angle? Very important. Why? Anyone? Steve? Why is it important? Yeah.
I was like zoning out there. I wasn't hearing you. Sorry.
Well, there's a certain number of reasons why it's important. If you have an iron, you're hoping that the sole of that golf club is relatively level to the turf, because you don't want any part of that heel or toe really to be catching the turf first, because you'd like to get the best interaction with the turf, either if it's at impact or after. Sometimes before on a pitch shot, a lot of times you're actually hitting the turf first. Okay? You're not able to only just hit the ball. Sometimes the ball sits down a little bit. Well, if either part of this, it catches it, it can really affect the position of the face. Okay? And then it'll change where you hit the golf ball, face angles, a lot of it. So with an iron, it's important. Is lie angle important for your putter?
Yes.
Stay up. Yes? Okay. Okay. Why is it important?
Protects the game.
Okay.
The ability to hit.
All the same reason you just told us.
What's that? What's that?
Why is it important?
Lie angle with the putter. Why is it important?
Because if it's not flush on the ground, parts
Okay.
of the putter will hit first.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely possible.
Face angle will help you on the path that you want it to. Correct?
Could
Well,
More compensation is good. Like
could be, right? All those? Well, the one part that I will let you know that it does not affect your face angle much at all. So if you're actually there with a putter and you have that person who has a putter, lie angle, that's 10 degrees too upright or 8 degrees too flat, and their putter happens to be, let's just take a number, 3 degrees aloft. Okay? So the person, and remember this is always at impact. Everything that we talk about, you have static and we have dynamic. So dynamic is during the motion. Static is just when it's at rest. Okay? Big difference, especially with club fitting. Because you don't always return, almost always, you don't return the same spot. It's going to be something different. Handle raise, shaft leaning forward, a lot of things could happen. Shaft droop, deflection, okay? So I want you to go to this chart right here. And what I'd like for you to do is the top, as you see there, across, that's actually the number of degrees in lie angle change. The numbers going down the column on the left there, that's actually the dynamic loft. Another word for that is delivered loft. That's the loft at impact. Okay? So as I just described there, the golfer, it's got a lie angle that's 10 degrees too upright for them. So you're going to go across to the 10, a lie angle, and then what you'll do is you'll go down to 3. So you see right there, 3 degrees aloft delivered. So that shows you the amount of face angle change that you're going to get at impact. So
Is that open to close or is that loft?
either way, right? Because if the lie angle is upright or flat, which way does it move? Well, oh, this is not made of stainless steel. So I got to go to something that's closer, and it doesn't stick to titanium either. So, can everybody see this here? Okay. So this right here is just something that really gives you a nice visual effect So let's say I get this club to a loft angle that's very low. Can you see that? And you see the direction it's pointing? Well, if I take this club and I start moving it down, how much is that stick moving? Almost nothing, okay? So now I'll move it the other way. It's going to move the equal amount as long as I keep the same loft angle. The amount of movement is going to be the same either way you go. Now, if I now add a lot of loft to it, now it's here. Now if I make any kind of change this way, now what's happened to the stick? Okay, right, it's going to change more. So based on the loft of the golf club, lie angle actually becomes more influential or less for face angle. Okay, because obviously we all know that for most golf clubs that we play with, the face angle has the most influence on direction outside of center gravity strike. So let's go to the fantasy world of center gravity strike. Every shot is in the center. These laws would apply. So with a putter, what I feel is it's much more of a static number that you're looking for with lie angle. So if the golfer is having a little bit of trouble setting the putter down on the ground, they're not comfortable, then yeah, you can make the change. Because it's not really going to change the direction the ball goes because the face angle barely moves for the putter. Okay? But if you get that golfer, and you hear it a lot of times, you hear them go, oh, you know, I hate that toe up. They hate that, everyone hates a toe up, but they hate the toe up. Oh, I can't stand that, right? But they putt well, don't have to change it. Has no effect. If they're hitting the center of the putter, they're relatively effective, never need to change. They just don't like the way it looks, okay, go ahead and change it. But you may change the visual, you may change their aim, which is really important. So if there's no need to change it just because it's up in the air, or Steve Stricker, you see Steve Stricker? Looks like that. He putts pretty well because he's got pretty good control of it. Doesn't affect where the ball goes. If the lie angle's upright, it doesn't mean the face is pointing to the right. Doesn't have enough loft angle to affect that. Okay? Now, how about a driver? Yeah, Brian.
So you just gave us an example of a half-degree change in face alignment, right?
Yeah, face line.
So
Yeah.
at what length putt, or now are we talking about the ball missing the ball?
Well, half a degree change from 10 feet, you'll miss. So if the path is the same for 2 putts and you have a face angle that's half, you could probably still make a 5-footer, 4 or 5-footer. But anything outside that yellow, you might miss it. Yeah. But it's not as great, you know. You wouldn't think, I mean, I'm talking about 10-degree lie angle change. So, right? That's pure, I mean, that's a lot. So if you have the typical person's lie angles, you know, 2-3 degrees off, 0.07. Can't see that. Human eye can't see the difference. The ball won't either, really. Okay? So how about for a driver? Yeah. John.
Question.
Yeah.
When you're fitting putters, and,
Yep.
you know, and again, it's obviously individual, but what lie angles do you see most, or do you fit most? Like most people.
I
If bring in
usually
100
see
people,
from 66 to 79.
79.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
More often my 10.
a long putter is 79 degrees. That's a legal limit. How many golfers do you like that they like to try to get the left wrist arch? They like to put it into their lifeline here, and they really like to get themselves here. I bet Steve, he'd be pretty upright. Steve Scott here, that's great, right? Sets it up like this. You can see here, you have that little raise right there, right? Sure. What do you mean, sure? You do. Come on. Show us here. Come on. By the way, he's a great putter.
So yeah.
And we'll go on to later too. He's got incredible negative spin loft.
Right, so yeah, I got a little version of that Bernhard Langer, but I throw it like this. And so, yeah, I know, don't laugh, but yeah, I get up here with the left wrist is arched. Yeah, so yeah.
And by the way, that putter is 73 degrees lie angle, so it's not upright enough for you,
Yeah,
right?
so I don't know what my lie angle is, but when it comes
But do you putt well?
yes,
So what does it matter, right?
Yeah.
If you're making putts, lie angle's off, so what? Heels off the ground. Okay?
And that's not considered anchored, is it?
no, that will be legal, fortunately.
That's legal.
Thank God.
Yeah. If the putter, so if the end of the club is below the elbow joint, it's considered legal. Above it, so if he were to do that, DQ. It's such a fine line. It's the same thing as like a belly. I putt right now. I don't putt with this. I putt actually with a belly putter type, but I don't connect it. But it's pretty close. if it touches my belly, what's going to happen? I mean, are they going to call me on it? Is it anchored? Who knows? Yeah, in my opinion, it's not a very good rule change. Right? I think a lot of people agree. Some people might say fundamentally that, the game is supposed to be played a certain way. I don't know. I know plenty of people that I fit for bellies and long. Man, if they don't use it, it's brutal. They can't finish some holes. It's so bad. So I guess they can't play. And a member tournament or something that's, governed by the USGA. It's tough. So let's go to driver. How important is the lie angle for your driver? Any important? No? Okay. Well, I'll give you my experience that I struggled with for a long time. Is I would get your typical driver with a lie angle of, they're all relatively 58 to let's say 60-degree lie angle, and I'd hit it, ball wants to hook. Like, wait, I squared the club face, looked pretty good. Hit it again, wants a hook. Hit again, wants a hook. Every time I set that driver up, I got to actually open the face good like 2, 3, 4 degrees. No matter what, it was like I could never put the driver down square and hit the ball straight. So I always had to put that driver, and when I was building drivers, it used to have to be really open. I didn't know why until I realized that I come through the ball, my lie angle about 8 degrees flatter than the driver because my vertical swing plane is pretty low. My handle's not very high, my handle's relatively low. So I swing much flatter than the driver. So if I go through that now, I'll give you a number here. I usually deliver the driver at about 17.5, roughly. So go down the left column at 17.5, and then go across to 8. And look at that number. So what's the number? 2.5. My face is 2.5 degrees closed if I had the club face square and I hit the golf ball. That's why I'm like, what am I struggling with? So then I realized, and I was really able to confirm it when I actually went on this foresight, because it can get face angle and lie angle separately. Where a radar, what it does is it just sees where the face is pointing, but it doesn't really decipher the two numbers separately. So I was able to really look at that just a little clearer from my brain. That I saw, oh wow, 8 degrees flat. I'm like that in impact. And my face angle had to be about 3 degrees open if I hit the ball in the center for the ball to go pretty straight. Okay, so the driver is important.
So what do you do now?
What I do, well, unfortunately, these adjustable drivers, you can't do a lot, but what I'll do is I'll take the shaft out, I'll actually bore out the tip a little bit, so I have a little more room, and I'll slant the shaft in flatter. So now that tip of the R1, I make it about 4 degrees of adjustability instead of 2. So I create more room, so I have more room that I can move it, so that I can hit the ball. Or
Open a face.
open to 3 degrees. Yeah.
And the inch of shaft that you have is only 4 yard difference.
Yes.
If you subtract that inch, because all the drivers are so long, is a 4 yard loss.
If you hit, yes. If you give a robot a club and you take away that inch, equal weight.
Help you with your lie angle a little bit on your driver.
Yes, but it's pretty minimal. Yeah, if you take an inch off, because you're not really moving an inch closer, or, you know what I'm saying? So the amount of angle, if you cut it an inch, you're not really able to change the lie angle that effectively. You might change it, the lie angle, maybe 1/2 degree, maybe 3/4 degree. That's about it. Okay? Make sense? Any of you ever experienced that with drivers, just feeling like you had to always open it? It's amazing. It's amazing how many drivers. So most manufacturers are making the lie angles very upright, because what are they all trying to help golfers do? Close the face, right? Center of gravity, close the face. Upright, close the face. It's not what a lot of us need. So we need a lot of drivers. I know that Callaway usually comes out with drivers that are flat, 55, 56 degrees, because they know that that's kind of what they need. Yeah?
So you find it also depends on the manufacturer, like for example, like the Zuno lines might be a little flatter. Their standard.
There's no standard in the industry. Just to let you know, right?
I'm saying their clubs in general, like let's say, their irons or their drivers be a little flatter. Like if you took a Zuno standard 6 iron and a Titleist standard 6 iron, there'd be a difference maybe.
Degree and a half difference.
Okay, so
Mizuno is 61.
maybe it's more.
No, it's just whatever the manufacturer wants to say is their standard. No, there is no standardization in the golf business that way with clubs. They just, company decides this is what we want our number to start at. This is our standard. So you can't take a Mizuno and a Callaway and a TaylorMade and a Titleist and just go standard with all of them. They're all different. So you just have to know what those numbers are. If you want to be accurate, you just have to know what the specs of all of them are. And then if you really want to be specific, you have to measure everything you get, because we know the quality control is not the greatest out there. So to have the ability, so what we do all the time is I'll measure center of gravity of a golf club when we get these new clubs in, so I know what it is, and then we'll measure loft lie for every club that we get, just so that we know if you have to make an adjustment. Yeah?
So you said this thing doesn't matter either way, it's going to be the same no matter what you do, because you showed us an example, but
Yeah.
you said yours closed. So why is yours closing? You know,
Oh.
explain it, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Well, if you just look at face angle change, if I,
that's going to close it.
yeah,
So
his face is moving left. Yeah, it's going to move right.
So higher is very low.
Yeah. That's why sometimes you see these golfers that you get them on a lie board and their toe is way down and it's striking like that and the face is closed, but the ball still goes pretty straight. Does that make sense? Because their clubs are so flat for their swing, which means that the face is pointing right, and then they equally close the face. So it looks like this at impact, but they match up to a straight shot. Make sense? That's why it's important to get those clubs fit and know how they're interacting, because you can't give them a golf club that goes straight when it's really here. They need, number one, they need a lesson really bad, okay, because they're extremely steep and they're throwing that club down, but you can't fit to that, because that can't be a straight shot. I mean, it just doesn't work, you know? We got to have it relatively flat. Yeah, Charlie?
From your experience with line angles, is the tour issue stuff coming from, in particular, TaylorMade, any different line angle than what's
Yeah.
retail?
Flatter. Flatter, less draw bias. Yeah, all the above. Yeah.
And for most of the companies?
More upright, more draw bias.
But I mean, I don't know whether other companies...
Some companies, yeah. There are some that design their tour model or better players, drivers, or clubs. Yeah, they usually come a little flatter. Yeah, they do. How about a wedge? How important is that? Okay. Now, it's extremely important, but the difficult thing is we don't play the wedge the same way every time, do we? We have a lot of different ways that we hit shots. Sometimes we lower the handle. Sometimes we raise the handle. So, you know, your effective line angle is always going to change.
You
So
mean a 10 iron or what?
11 iron. This is a 12 iron, okay?
Everyone quit. When I get done, every one of you.
So, yeah, 12 iron. So, yeah, it's very important. On a full shot, you'd prefer that you get the lie angles right on the full shots, and then you could work the short game kind of around it. Sometimes with maybe the highest lofted wedge, you might tend to have it flatter more than you have it upright, because it's okay to actually have the club face a little bit open and hitting the toe a little bit. There are shots you hit like that. You might lean that way.
Do you fit your 11 irons flatter?
Depends who.
Better player
Depends. Depends what they want.
for versatility around
Yeah,
the range?
how they hit shots, yeah. I mean, I probably can't go too flat for the person who really likes to have a lot of handle raise going this way, because they're just, it's going to be too severe. You know, so it depends on your technique. It just, you know your players well enough, I think, that you know what direction you might want to go, tendencies, because there's no perfect when it comes to getting the clubs. Yeah?
You said something about the irons, the toe down, that guy needs a lesson,
Yeah.
right? So if you're fitting one of your students and you see right away that's happening, would you in a sense kind of say, look, let's
Oh, yeah.
hold off, let's work on this a little bit more before we...
I mean, I can't create, you know, sometimes you see numbers out there, the club is 9 degrees too flat for them. I'm not going to bet them 9 degrees upright. It's obscene, you know, it's too much. You got to get them from delivering that club extremely vertical and coming in this way. Now the face is pointed right, and now they have to close the face. I mean, it creates so many, you know, it's so much compensation there that it's difficult for the person to improve. It really is.
Same thing if a guy's just coming in for a fitting, you would just say, maybe we should...
Me, yes. Yeah, I'll just say, listen, it would be fair to them, because you're being honest, to say, listen, I can fit you for something, but it's going to be really extreme on one side. and then they're not going to be able to work on their patterns to improve their game. So yeah, some people you just can't fit them. You just have to be honest and say, I know you want clubs, and I know you've wanted them, but just not ready. Sometimes it hurts their feelings a little bit. You're being honest. I mean, I think it's better.
So Kirk, what's the highest you'll max that out at then?
Whatever the manufacturer will allow, which is the most they'll go is 4 degrees. I fit 4 degrees up. Sometimes you can't help it. The golfer's not going to take lessons. They just want a nice set of clubs. So, sometimes you just got to make the customer happy. Got to give them what they want. So I'll go the max up. I'll help them out. A lot of those golfers tend to need a little longer club because they're just extending too early. So you'll do that. Not for someone who's interested in improving or a student of mine. I won't let that happen. So that's kind of how lie angles work. Any questions pertaining to lie angles? Yeah.
Can we just talk a little bit about using lie tape versus
Yeah.
the other method?
Yeah, I don't. I don't use lie board. Well, I'm lucky I could use this.
Okay.
It measures the lie angle at impact. So I like it. But if not, I would actually prefer using a line on the ball. Yeah. But what happens is if you miss one number, face angle or lie angle, it's tough to know exactly where it is. If you have a radar launch monitor, you're looking at VSP a lot, which is vertical swing plane. So if you're tracking the vertical swing plane, that's the angle of the plane of their golf club. So yeah, if you notice that number is really high, chances are they're probably going to need a more upright club. Okay. If you don't, it's difficult. You're going to have to use a lie board, and you're going to have to do your best guess to figure out where you think their face angle is. Because if they're hitting that board, and if this makes sense, so if you're hitting that board, they're coming in, and they're extremely steep, and their club face is closed, it's going to look like that. So every single time, that person's going to read crazy upright, right? You're going to need a super upright club. But if that face angle changes, so does a lie angle. So when you close the face, this is what happens. You're going to always see toe marks. When you see that golfer who's always got an open club face, they're going to read flat. So you got to be careful because you might get that person who's always got a wide open club face, and then when they whack the board, it leaves a mark on the heel. They might not need flat clubs. They just have such a wide open club face.